All right, Kirby Smart was talking with Mark Schlabach, and he said, and Georgia's got spring practice coming up very quickly here, and he said, I feel really good about the culture within our program. One thing to keep in mind here, there's certainly been a lot going on that's been negative. We've had two deaths with inside the program, which were crushing for sure. Jalen Carter's arrest, Jamon Dumas Johnson was arrested. Both of those were street. All of the things I've mentioned had been car related. You had Ra Thomas, who was arrested for. um I don't even want to get it wrong, but those charges were dropped. So, an understandable question um, about where Georgia's at right now. And Matt, I mean, it's been a bad look these last. It's been pretty bad for Georgia off the field for their return of winning the national championship.
Yeah, I think there's two cultures going on at Georgia. You've got the winning culture where they're just dominating their opponents on the field. They've got that winning DNA going on, and they're champions of college football. But apparently, there's a reckless driving culture going on in Athens, and
Yes.
it's something that needs to be addressed. There were reports that were coming out that Jalen Carter, I don't know if that's true or not, but that he was, you know, speeding and was led away with it, did not get a ticket or anything during the season. So,
Oh, that's a true.
uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
definitely accurate. Yeah.
so he likes to drive fast, and apparently some of the other players like to drive fast too. And you got to get it under control. I don't know how much Kirby can tell these kids. I mean, the message has to get across. Like, what are you doing, guys? We are on a quest for a three-peat. You have to get it together off the field. You can't let this stuff continue to pile up. But at the end of the day, it's still the individual who has to say, hey, there's more out there than, making dumb decisions like that. So there is a culture in the program that has to be addressed. There's no doubt about it. But I don't think it's one that, can't be resolved. Again, Georgia's got to get back to their winning ways, and they need leaders on the team as well as the staff to step up and address those issues.
I failed to mention Stetson Bennett's arrest, but Ryan, I wanted to get your comments before I go with what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the really optimistic part of me would like to think that whatever that negative culture that may have existed is gone now. I think all of those things that were related to cars and everything happened the night of the crash or before. And I think the really, really, really unfortunate thing is that two people died, and
Hmm.
those were like family members to them. And I have a really hard time believing that, these players can look at what happened and then continue to do things like that. So the optimistic part of me thinks that we're kind of done with all that.
I want to say, well, I don't know that I'm ever optimistic about stuff, but I wanted to say that Matt, one thing Matt talked about was Kirby talking and sort of getting a stop to it. I can't remember exactly what you said, but I find it hard to believe that Kirby Smart would have as much power and sway with these players that he couldn't get them to stop it. It can't be that these are my words. This is not what other people are saying. It can't be that he is sort of all powerful when it comes to everything Georgia football, but then he can't stop them from doing stupid stuff. He has plenty of influence. Period. I think as much as we talk about Georgia and leaders, I think that the program should be careful using the word leader and leadership because there was zero leadership the night of those fatalities. Zero leadership. And the leadership should have been, no, you're not driving. Okay. Um, and I would add this that I've said this a lot. If you can be disciplined on the field, this is one of the most disciplined teams in America. These guys, the work they do physically is not short of, I mean, it is impressive. These guys are getting up early in the morning. There's a lot that they're sacrificing. There's a lot they're sacrificing in their life. There's a lot that they're sacrificing physically, mentally, And if you can do all those things and you can hoist trophies and do all the work that can get you to hoist trophies, if you can be disciplined on the field, you can be disciplined off it. And no, I will not give people a pass saying they were in college. When I was in college, and this ain't about me, and it's not about Ryan, it's not about Matt, but it doesn't matter what we did in the 90s or whatever. It matters what's happening today. And it matters that there's discipline inside the program and it doesn't just involve on the field. So, uh, Kirby can't babysit, but he can set an atmosphere. And right now, in my opinion, the atmosphere is not where it needs to be or was not where it needed to be. Now, that's me. I know my view of this is harsher than a lot of folks. A lot of folks are saying, these guys are in college. They're doing dumb stuff. Doesn't excuse it. And by the way, just this just pops into my head. That you are drunk does not excuse, your behavior or your high or whatever. But anyway, that's my comment, Matt.
Yeah, I think hindsight, they probably should have had a come to Jesus moment with the team after Jamon Dumas Johnson's arrest and say, hey, I mean, I don't know who else is doing this, but you got to stop. This cannot happen. And I hate that the crash was their wake up call. Start to get better. Well, you already had two people in the program pass away to all this. So I hate that that's what changes that culture. If it does change and these guys do listen, and then, like you said before, how good of a school this is. I mean, guys like me who were
your audio is popping out, Matt, for whatever reason.
They got to get it.
They got to get it together. Ryan, your comments?
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, you're in college.
Yeah,
what's been?
We might be a little presumptuous to call it like a culture. That this whole like street racing thing is a culture. I think it's a little presumptuous for us to say that, just because we're talking about a handful of individuals, and I don't know how many times they get away with speeding or they are speeding during the season or outside of the season.
We're not talking about speeding. We're talking about something a lot more than speeding
and drunk driving, right?
Right.
Those kind of
which no one is condoning.
No, you shouldn't be doing either of those things because they did end in fatalities. Kirby's, just in the Kirby discussion of all this, he is in a position of power, authority, leadership, and trust with young people that, he is in charge of in certain aspects. Now, this is not football related at all. It just isn't. It doesn't have anything to do with football, just because it's not on the field. But he's still in a leadership position with those group of people. And so, I do think that if there hasn't already been some sort of, and there shouldn't just be one conversation, right. But if there hasn't already been, team meetings and everything about it, I'd be pretty shocked. But
the thing that was
it is sad. Well, can I finish? Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just because, I mean, like, I'm out there too. I'm going out and doing all that. But you just can't do that part. When the night's over, like, just call an Uber, or if it's in walking distance, walk, or call for a ride. I don't know. It's just one of those things that you've been learning since you were in high school, I think, is when they start talking about drunk driving and things like that. This is not something that they're not aware of. So I hate that there was a wake-up call so drastic. I mean, but Kirby does have a responsibility to these young people, right? And I think he even said it in his introductory press conference, about just how you're leading young people. He's talked about his favorite part of it being the relationships with the players. Like, I think that there is a big weight on his shoulders now to help lead these people.
Yeah, sorry about that, Ryan. I want to say this too. Kirby has to lead, but they have to be led too. I mean, the players, the people in the program have to listen too. From what I understand, they did talk to them about this before all of this happened. Kirby has said that. So, my only statement is, as you get older, that all the good adds up and so does all the bad. And the little stuff you do every single day, all of the small decisions add up to big consequences or successes. And that's my point with the whole thing, Matt. These guys work. I mean, they work. They are lifting, they are running, they are going to school. They do not have lives, frankly. This is their life. So um, to risk it, you know, but it's their life. They can do whatever they want to do. They just cannot affect other people. And I'm concerned that has, well, guys got to listen and they got to do the right thing. Final thought, Matt?
I think we'll see how much money Jalen Carter loses by falling
Right.
in the draft because of this. I think a
Bingo.
lot of his teammates are going to be like, hey, I mean, this starting to affect his bank account now. We have to make sure this doesn't happen to us. And like you said, this is a very disciplined team full of disciplined players. So I do expect things to turn around this spring and moving forward.
All right. Thanks for watching.